Now let's move over to the other team in Los Angeles, the Lakers, even their series with the Suns, after taking Game 2 behind 34 from Anthony Davis. CP3 only played 7 minutes in the second half. He is still dealing with that shoulder injury. Here's how both teams felt about the whole thing, starting with AD.
It's going to be a challenge to repeat, obviously. It's going to be a challenge to beat this team. And in order for our team to do that, I'm going to have to play how I play tonight, or better.
And that's Chris, man. He's gonna fight. He's a warrior out there, and I know he doesn't want anything more than to win these games. So I know he's gonna do everything in his power to be out there. Obviously, still bothering him. We have a short couple days. That he can get some recovery and treatment in to hopefully get it right for next game.
So a lot of different perspectives there. Robert, for you, what's the bigger story from Game 2? That AD went out and did what he said he was going to do, put the team on his back, or Chris Paul having to play just those limited minutes? And just the way Chris looked, you saw him kind of doing this for a while, right?
Yes. For me, AD, that's what he does. He has a bad game, and he redeems himself by coming and having a good game. But I think with Chris Paul being out, think about it, this guy was in the hunt for MVP. He took this Suns team. I know you got the other guys on the team that were there last year, but he brought in that veteran leadership and put this team pretty much on his back. Think about this. Cameron Payne is playing out of his mind, and a lot of that has to do with CP3 always in his ear and telling him how to play. With his leadership, with that team, they've risen to a new level. With him being hurt like this, it hurts them. He gets them off to a good start, but he needs to be on that floor. He's that floor general that they have to have on the court.
And I think I agree, but I say it's hand in hand. I think both, because I feel like if the Lakers go down 0-2, our conversation today is a little different as well.
What's wrong with the LA team?
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with the LA team? So for AD, he needed to have a big start. And that's what I talked about yesterday is feed him early and often, and then LeBron will piggyback from there, and it opens the floor up for both of those guys, particularly Anthony Davis. On the other hand, Chris Paul played 70 games. He's the head of the snake. He's the leader. He has the unbelievable basketball IQ, and he can put guys in positions and like he's done for campaign. And I think Monty made a tough decision on sitting him out. But Cameron Payne played great, 19.7 assists. I mean, Chris Paul gives you that, but it just wasn't enough. And, we're not even talking about how well Ayton played. He played great as well.
Both nights, Game 1 and Game 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 21 and 10. And we're not talking about him. It's just, I don't know. It's not enough.
It's tough. And look, you feel for Chris Paul, right? Had the hamstring a couple years ago in the conference finals, just awful timing. This just a freak injury. I was in the building when it happened on Sunday, and it was just a teammate. It was just a freak injury. And this is a guy who has worked so hard to get into better condition so that he could play. He almost missed no games the last 2 seasons. That whole Chris Paul is having injury problems now and the end of his career, that was done because he had 2 great seasons of being present and accountable and available for his team, and then this freak thing happens. The only solace, I guess, is that a lot of the work he had done with this team, when you talk about giving Cameron Payne confidence, helping DeAndre Ayton, we know CP's record when it comes to improving the centers around him, that work had been done during the season. So he got all of these guys to the point where they can perform as they've had the last couple games. Still, when you guys see, it's being listed as a shoulder bruise, and none of us up here are doctors, but in your experience as basketball players, when you see Chris and the way his shot is and what you see him kind of trying to work out on the side, what does it bring to mind for you?
What was glaring to me is dribbling the ball and all of a sudden losing it in open court by himself. That's one of the things I was like, okay. It feels like, he's doing this, nerve damage, trying to get some blood flow, and that's what I thought was, they said bruise. I was like, maybe it's a nerve situation.
Could be a little bit of
possibly.
many things.
It reminds me of a stinger, like guys getting football. Now you got the numbness in your hand or hitting your funny bone. But for me, when you're doing this, that's nerves, and like Finn said, he's dribbling right. He's right-handed, and all of a sudden the ball goes that way. He's looking like, what's going on? Like,
this
how did I lose
point guard. I mean, this is not someone who loses his handle.
Yeah, it's just so weird. His handles are usually so tight and precise, and for him not to be able to fill it, even on his jump shot, if you look at his release, it's kind of like short. It's like he's pulling back instead of the nice flow. It goes from the jump shot to the handles, and the only thing that can help is his defense, but he got to be able to score, and he got to be able to penetrate and dish.
And you can see the frustration in his face of him losing the ball. He's like, I don't lose the ball. That's not what I do.
He's like, what's going on?
And in clutch situations where they need buckets, he gets the big on the switch, gets to the elbow, pull up. He can't do it as often. and you can see it's frustrating. And the one shot he did make, you see he was motivating himself. It's like, come on, let's go, figure out a way.
Right.
And he's trying. It's just not working out for him.
And as I said, we're not trying to diagnose Chris Paul, but it's so fascinating to hear you guys talk about how it's affecting him in different parts of the game and his game. And hopefully he will be better by the time these guys play Game 3. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.